In today's video, I know what you see right now, it might seem a bit confusing, but in today's video I want to share with you step by step how I edit and upload an episode of my podcast. And I think you're gonna get a lot of value. I'm gonna share with you all the tools that I use. What you're seeing right now on the screen, this is Adobe Audition, which is what I use for the audio mixing and editing. And then I'll show you where I host the podcast files and how I get them on iTunes and all that jazz. So stay tuned. All right, here we go. So what you're seeing right now, I'm just gonna go back over here to the multi-track. This is Adobe Audition. I'm not gonna make a full tutorial on how Adobe Audition works. You'll find plenty of those on YouTube already. And let's face it, I am not an expert in this thing. It's really awesome. It can do a lot of things. And I used to use this software, I'll say it, 10 years ago. I used to have it before it was called Adobe Audition, before Adobe bought it, and it was called Cool Edit. And if you know what I'm talking about, leave me a comment so I'm not the only one feeling old over here. So when it used to be called Cool Edit, and I used to have it back then not to edit podcasts, but to edit music covers that I would record with my guitar. And as you guys know, I love playing guitar and I love singing, even though I'm not good. So if you want to listen to those music covers, oh my gosh, there are a couple in my YouTube channel that are still there. A couple of Alice in Chains covers. Not the best quality, not the best anything, but there was passion. I think you will listen that despite me not being a great musician or a great singer, I did that with great passion. So what I'm going to show you is strictly how to edit. How to edit audio for an interview. So for this video's sake, I'm gonna start over. I'm just gonna close this and just not save anything and just start over for you guys. So when you first launch your Adobe Audition, it's gonna look like this. It's going to be empty, just like this. Oops, I completely closed it. Let me just find it again. Here we go. So when you open it for the first time, it's gonna look like that. And I recommend that you have all the files handy. The way that I'm doing my podcast interviews is that I record them via Skype for the most part. I'm hoping to be able to conduct some interviews in person sometime this year with some people. But so far, what I did with Gary Vaynerchuk and Mike Dillard, which is the one I'm going to edit right now, I also interviewed Evan Carmichael. For Evan Carmichael, we used Google Hangouts. And I think it has a different name now. I don't know if it's still called Hangouts, but you know, the Google system. And we recorded it, then downloaded the video, and then you just import it over here, and Adobe Audition is going to extract the audio for you. So let me show you how that works. I have all the files right here, right? I have my intro videos. I'm just going to open another Finder window so that I can show you the podcast files, which I have right here. So I start with the video, okay? So here we have Mike Dillard's interview, okay? So I recorded this morning.
That'd be great.
Right? All right, so thank you, Mike, again, so much for meeting up with me. So I do the audio first, and the video first, and then I just extract the audio. Now this is the full, like this, as you can see, this 40 gigs. This is just a web version, I guess. So here's the video, right? So here's what I do. I take the video in its entirety and I just drag it over here. This is where you keep the files, up here. And then I release it, and you'll see right away that Audition is separating the audio. I don't even have to say anything. It did it on its own. So now I have this audio file over here, and that's the MP4, that's the video. So if all I want is the audio, I just drag it over here. Wait, before I do that, the next thing you do, now you have those files. What other files do you need? For example, the intro, right? I had a really good friend of mine recorded an intro for me, and I'll be using it in some of the episodes. He has this really cool voice, and I always, ever since I met him, I always told him that he had a podcast voice. Like, oh my gosh, you should do a podcast. And so I asked him to record my intro. So if you do have an intro pre-recorded by someone else, by yourself, and you have that file separately, do drag it over here as well. And if you also have background music, which I do, I actually use the background music that I have over here from my, let me see if I go to edited videos. No, it's actually here. Intro videos. This is the same intro that I use for my vlogs, if you guys see this. So I really like the music, and boom, my video editor actually edited the music in a way that, you know, I could use the audio file, but I like what she did with the editing, so I'm just dragging that. So now I have the intro, then I have the interview itself, and now I have the music. So now you have all of that. You're going to click up here under multi-track, or multi-track, I don't know how to say it, and you're going to give it a name. In this case, this is episode 005, Mike Dillard part 2, and you can select where you want to save it. In this case, for now, I'm keeping it here, and then when I save everything as an MP3, I'm going to keep it in the podcast folder. So then just click OK. I don't really change any of these things. Like I said, I'm not an expert in this, so I'm just going to stick to the predetermined. But if you know better, if you know about the sample rate, the bit depth, and all of this stuff, then go ahead and change it up. I'm leaving it as it is. And you click OK, already exists. Yeah, I'll replace it because I'm starting over. And now over here you have all this, several tracks. Oops. And if you click like that, you can reduce them, right? So I'm going to need at least 4 tracks because I'm also going to record a little intro with my own voice, then the interview, and then I'm going to record an outro with a call to action. I usually have a call to action at the beginning of the podcast and at the end, where I obviously remind people to subscribe and share and leave a rating or review. And then I say something about the person I'm about to interview to give people some background. Because that way I don't have to waste a lot of time with the interviewee, with the person I'm interviewing, with my guest, in introducing them. And that way I can use up the time in the best way. And I recommend you do the same. In fact, I believe Lewis House is doing something similar. So you got the tracks, and then you simply drag everything you're going to need. So we have Mike Dillard audio over here. We drag it over here, and then it's going to just convert. Then we have the intro audio. We drag it over here. And then we have the voice intro. We drag it over here. So this one is converting right now, just a few seconds. The next thing you want to do is you want to play around with the volume a little bit. And obviously the music has a very loud volume compared to everything else. So the first thing I do is like this. You select this. Now when you see that selector cursor, is that the right word? I hope it is. You see that little icon there? You see it? It's not an arrow. It's, man, I've never known the name of that. But all right. You select the audio that you want to work with. And by the way, down here, you can zoom in to make sure you're selecting everything you need to select. See, I missed a little bit. So now I do this. I only want to fix the audio of this track, not this one yet and not this one yet. So I just said make sure that this is in white and selected. And then you go ahead up here and you click on waveform at the top left corner. Next to multitrack, waveform. And now it's going to show you just this track and, well, literally the waves. And this little thingy here with the decibels allows you to control the volume. So if you move it to the left, boom, 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 you see how the volume is decreasing? And I know I need to decrease it quite a bit, so I'm going to keep it minus 15 for now. Okay? And now I can listen to it and see how loud it is. And I would say it's still loud. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select everything again. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm going to make it even lower over there. All right. And I'm going to play it again. That's better. There you go. So now that that's done, you click on multi-track again. Okay, and now it's back here. And you can see notoriously the volume went down. Then you want to drag this all the way to the beginning. Of course, go back to the beginning of the track. So you can see, whoops. Since we zoomed in so much, right? You got to go back all the way there. All the way there. So obviously the interview is not going to start until, well, move it like that, you see. We can zoom out again and just move it over there. And then here is the spoken intro. Now my friend recorded 3 versions, so I need to decide which one I'm going to use, and then I can cut the other 2. So after I listened to them, I thought this one, the second one, would be the best. So I'm going to listen to it with the music on. Check this out.
Welcome to Beyond the Hustle with Carolina Millan. Formerly an HR employee, Carolina is now a lifestyle entrepreneur, public speaker, and marketing coach. She travels the world showing you how to live a life with more passion and purpose. Here you'll discover from her and the experts she interviews what it really takes to succeed in life and business. Let the hustle begin.
And then the music ends, and then I start talking. So I do think I'm going to keep that one. So what do? You select the rest that you're not going to keep. You right click and you can say cut. And now that's gone. And then I do the same thing at the other side. Right click and cut. You can also just split like this. And then you got 2 files, right? Which is also cool whenever you need to like cut in between of a track. In this case, we just boom, delete, get rid of it. Now we can drag all this stuff back here again. And if you guys heard, maybe you didn't hear it, but my friend was breathing and swallowing a little bit at the beginning. So all I do is I go back here, I zoom in, and I can see those little tracks here. So there you go. That's that. So then I cut. And then we get this thing back here.
Welcome to Beyond the Hustle.
And we want to cut a little bit more still, a little bit. Cut. There we go. So now this is clean, and we put it all the way back here. And also, guys, you can have, this is for tracks to play simultaneously. You want to put them in 2 different tracks, right? But you can put one thing after the other. For example, the interview itself, which is up there on track 1, I can just put it after I speak, and it could be on the same track. But I recommend that you separate every separate track, because that way you control the volume separately, and it's just easier to manage than having everything in one long track. So zooming out, and I can bring this thing back here, and I can play it again and see if it works. Over here. Oh, come on, this thing. Here we go.
Welcome to Beyond the Hustle with Carolina Millan. Formerly an HR employee, Carolina is now a lifestyle entrepreneur, public speaker, and marketing coach. She travels the world showing you how to live a life with more passion and purpose. Here you'll discover from her and the experts she interviews what it really takes.
So you guys get it, right?
To succeed in life and business. Let the hustle begin.
Now, of course, the music ends a little after he's finished, right? So what I can do here is I can just lower the volume of the track, and this is how you do that. You see this little square over here? You drag it like this, and this is how you fade out. Like this, right? Look. So now the music is going to be fading out here.
Hustle begin.
You see how it started to fade and go down, right? Then, of course, I want to cut this part here. Boom. And so over here, I would start talking, right? So I can either do another track, this one, right? And start talking and start my recording like somewhere over here. Like here, maybe. And then I start recording on this track. How do you record? Here's how you do it. You see this M, S, and R. Okay, each track has that like M, S, R. Mute, solo, record. Okay. So for example, if I don't want any of the other tracks to interfere with my recording, I'll just mute them. I'll mute this, I'll mute this. The interview, which is all the way up there, I'll mute it too. And then I click the R for this one, and I can start recording. And I could start recording wherever I want to, and then I just move it until it fits where I want it to be. Okay, so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna get back to you guys. All right, guys, so as you can see over here, I already recorded my intro. And here's another cool tip. When you hover the mouse over one of the tracks and you see this little red thing, that's for you to cut, like to shrink the ending or the beginning of a track. So for example, every time I stop recording, every time I hit the stop button over here, the microphone picks up the click from the mouse. So every time I do that, I have to zoom in a little bit and just cut the very ending like this. And that way it goes away. So I have my intro here, and now I can, as you can see, boom, this little line here, boom, you see it pop up here. That's awesome because that allows you to make sure everything is lined up correctly. And then the interview just begins. Now you just want to make sure that the audio the volume of all the tracks, you know, the intro, your intro, the interview, and then your outro is similar, so that you don't have somebody listen attentively and then suddenly there's a spike in the volume or something. Has happened to me. So make sure the volume is reasonable and that people don't need to go all the way up to listen, or that they don't need to go all the way down either. So make it, you know, somewhere like that. I mean, this might be a little bit subjective, I know, but that's the way that I do it, and that's what I'm showing you. So now I got all the tracks. I got the intro, I got my intro, and I probably need to also cut the mouse noise from the beginning, from when I hit the record button. So we're gonna do that, and make sure that this fits. Here we go. And now everything else is muted. So before you export this thing, and by the way, I need to do the outro now. Over here is the interview, blah, 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 blah. And now I need to do the outro. And I'm going to use the same track number 4 for the outro, but of course I'm going to make sure the outro fits over here at the actual end of the interview, somewhere around here. There we go. So then I put this here, right? I don't know the name of this little thing that moves around. I guess it's like a marker or something. If you know the name, let me know. And now make sure everything is muted, and this one is ready to record, and record your outro, which is what I'm gonna do now. All right, so once you're done mixing everything up, checking the volumes, once all the tracks are where they need to be, you wanna unmute the others, of course, and finally export it as an MP3 file. Now, how do you go about this? You simply go up here, File, Export, Multi-track Mixdown, Entire Session. And this way the entire session will turn into just one MP3. So you click that, and now you can select where you want to save it. And obviously I have a specific folder where I keep all the podcast sessions. Right over here. Here we go. Save. And it's going to take like a few seconds, maybe a minute or so to save it. I click OK over here. And it's exporting. 56, 26, 34 seconds. It's usually pretty fast, depending on how long the track is. So that's the first part of this training, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. In the second part, I'm going to show you what to do next, where to upload this, and how to get it on iTunes. So I'll see you on part 2. By the way, if this is the first time you're watching any of my videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button right now. Tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. I'm usually talking about entrepreneurship, mindset, success, making money on the internet, building your personal brand, social media, and video marketing, and now podcasting as well. So definitely leave me a comment if you enjoyed this part so far, and tell me more about you and about what your podcast is going to be on. All right, I'll see you in the next video.